very interesting based on pressures it's going to have to deal with. The semilunars, pulmonary from the right side, aortic from the left. Okay? So pulmonary from the right side, aortic from the left. They help regulate blood flow from a ventricle to the great vessels. Once again, do not work on muscular effort. It is based upon blood pressure changes when the heart contracts and relaxes. So what we should see, hopefully, happen in what you're going to learn is a cardiac cycle. Okay? A cardiac cycle would be one contraction, one relaxation of the heart. Because that is going to be the movement of the heart for right side, left side, pulmonary, systemic. Okay? So, hopefully, what you see is all blood from emptying into the right atria. From the right atria, move to the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, go into my pulmonary, into the pulmonary to the lungs. You've got left and right lungs, so you will have blood flow return from right and left, and from the lungs, the blood returns to the left atria, goes to the left ventricle, goes to the aorta semilunars, and to the system. That is your, hopefully, blood flow. Anything that will alter this blood flow, yes, results in some problems. That could be a heart attack. That could be valvular insufficiency. You will hear that term, okay? Meaning somewhere in these valves, left, right, the pulmonary, aortic, okay? Something's wrong. So you will hear that term, valvular insufficiency. So now, Julia?
So was the diagram that was on the 2 slides ago, was that a poster?
That one? For which picture? The top picture? The bottom? Not really either one. They were just trying to give us a cross section that's allowing us to see the AV valves and the semilunars. Don't worry too much about it being anterior and posterior.
Okay, I was just confused because in that diagram it looks like the pulmonary valve is on the left side, but then in the one on the next slide it looks like it's on the right.
This picture right here, all right, this picture is just simply trying to take the section of the heart that would just contain the valves. Not so much try to be left, right, posterior, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. Love the fact that you're wanting to think that deep, but that's okay, all right? So just remember that's just a cross section, okay?
Are we going to have to map the...
No, no, you don't have to know this one. Because you're identifying them on the whole of the heart in another picture. So this, right here, can y'all understand it?
It's just like what you just talked us through.
Can everybody see it? Gigi, can you see it back there?
Yeah.
This is the pathway of the blood through the heart, showing it in relationship to a cardiac cycle. And once again, a cardiac cycle is going to be one contraction, one relaxation. Would you guys be able to understand that without the explanation on the right-hand side?
Do we have any videos?
Yes, I'm getting ready to show a video.
I'm understanding like the flow that the blood is taking, but I don't know like the names of everything yet.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Yes, I want you to understand, and it's okay if you don't really know the names of it all yet, but by following these arrows,
Mm-hmm.
is it making sense about the blood flow through the heart for one cycle?
So the 5 arrow is the blood leading to the lungs and the 6 is coming back.
Right, because what you're going to find when you are looking at the flow to the lungs, it is going to flow to both. It'll flow to left and right. And therefore, the blood return from the lungs will come from both left and right into the left atrium.
So even though there's a 6 on that side, it crosses over into the left.
Well, this 6 and this 6? Yeah, basically what it's doing is it's coming off from here, but it's going all the way across the back. In other words, it's not coming from the left. All right? So the video that we have on this little McGraw-Hill link, it's the one that is definitely, you know, sounding a lot like AI. All right, but that's okay because it did look a little bit like it was doing pretty good.
The cardiac cycle is the sequence of contraction and relaxation of the heart chambers during a single heartbeat. The contraction of the heart chambers is called systole, and relaxation of the heart chambers is called diastole. The cycle begins with both the atria and ventricles in diastole. Both atrioventricular valves are open while the pulmonary and aortic semilunar valves are closed. Blood flows into the right atrium through the superior and inferior vena cava. Blood flows from the lungs into the left atrium through the pulmonary veins. Then, blood moves from both atria into the ventricles through the open atrioventricular valves. During atrial systole, the atria contract and force any remaining atrial blood into the ventricles. The ventricles are still in diastole, allowing them to expand and completely fill with blood. During ventricular systole, the ventricles contract. The atrioventricular valves close, preventing backflow or regurgitation of blood into the atria. The pulmonary semilunar valve opens and the right ventricle expels blood into the pulmonary arteries to the lungs. Likewise, the aortic semilunar valve opens and the left ventricle expels blood into the aorta and out to the rest of the body. After ventricular systole, the cardiac cycle begins again as both the atria and ventricles enter diastole to allow the heart to fill with blood. Normally, this cycle repeats 60 to 100 times a minute.
Basically based on what is your heartbeat. That's what's happening when you check your heartbeat. So based on health, level of physical activity, any other health factors that might be present will affect that number. People who are very much into fitness, chances are their heart rates will be a little bit lower. People who are not fit, heartbeat's going to be higher because the heart's working harder. So just like they say, it is a muscle, okay? And if you don't use it, yeah, it tends to get flabby, so to speak, all right? So that is our pathway based on one cardiac cycle. Enter into the right atria, go to the right ventricle, go to the lungs, return to the left atria, come back and go to the left ventricle and go to the aorta. Now, in that process, the other tissue getting served is the heart itself. That is our coronary circulation. I've tried really hard to point out that we have these vessels running around, running down, side to side. We've got both arteries and veins. We have this huge little bump on the back, coronary sinus. When we were looking at the valves, the aortic valve, I tried to point out the two little areas that were serving coronary circulation. So that's pretty much the point where this picks up. So if you think back to that picture, okay, from the aorta, these two little areas are going to serve my coronary circulation. Does everybody see the connection? All right. As these arteries are exiting and making their way around the heart, branching down, they're pretty much branching down 1, 2, 3, 4, front, back, side, side. Okay? And what will happen in the branching that takes place? Because you branch and go right and left, therefore you give rise to a right coronary artery and a left coronary artery. RCA, LCA. Now, as those coronary arteries branch and circle, note, they branch downward, okay? It looks as if I have 4 different areas that are being served. Is everybody following that? It looks like I've got, if you look at your models, all right, it looks like I have those 2 indentations, anterior, posterior, and 2 that look like they run down each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had to have bypass surgery. I had a double bypass. I had a triple bypass. I had a quadruple bypass. What did I